Alright, so I got Claude Code and ChatGPT side by side, and I'm going to use both of these to research the topic, and that is humanoid robot hands and batteries. So, let me fire away the prompt real quick.
Yes, master.
Right off the bat, it's like it analyzed my prompt before I even clicked on send. Wow, okay. So, it's telling me I'm asking the right question. Alright. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad I'm asking the right question. Alright. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, so it's breaking it down like a system designer would. Alright. Humanoid robot hands I can actually get my hands on. Alright. Are these actually a robot hand? Shadow hand. Okay, Shadow Robot Company. Oh, 80K plus. Whoa, skip that one. So this is a lab grade hand. Alright, I'm gonna skip that one. That's too much. 80 grand. Whoa. Alright, it's 10 to 20 grand. Well, that's still way too much, but alright. This looks like a Lego hand. Alright. So we got a Lego hand for 10K, maybe 20K, maybe more, maybe less, who knows. But that's what it's telling us. So I'm assuming on their website somewhere it says that range, so there's probably multiple options as well. It's usually how it goes with these sorts of things. And then Claude Code's generating some stuff too. Don't worry, Claude Code. I'll get to that in a second. ChatGPT jumped the line though, and gave us the first response. All right, Shunk. What is Shunk? No price listed for Shunk. Okay, Psionic. It's actually quite a bit of hands. I'm gonna have to actually ask ChatGPT if we can build or buy these, and how I probably should have specified that. Okay, robot batteries. So there's the hands, and then I believe I've heard the leap hand before, so I think we could build that one. Not sure the strength of it, if it's using servos. It's not very promising. Well, servos and tendons, that might be alright. It might be better than just a servo by itself, but servos don't have very much strength when it comes to gripping something from what I've seen or what I've experienced with my projects. So, alright, robot batteries. There's no universal robot battery standard. Okay, so every serious humanoid robot uses a custom battery pack, plus a battery management system and a voltage rail design. Okay, well, that doesn't sound good because the robot that I'm actually looking at here, the Asimov, doesn't come with hands or a battery apparently. Even if you build it yourself, you still have to source a battery for it. So, and then apparently you need a battery management system and possibly a voltage rail to get it to work correctly with all the motors and everything else connected. Your camera, speakers, and let's see what else you got in a robot. Oh yeah, the controller like Raspberry Pi probably. Some people might use a Jetson Nano, but I don't know. I find those, unless you know Linux very well, Jetson Nano's like, I don't know. I don't like it. I think Raspberry Pi is easier, but the Jetson Nanos might actually have more power. Who knows? Or might be better for robots. I don't know. But let's not get off topic here. We're talking about batteries. All right. Because that's something I never really hear anyone talking about is the batteries. All right. So let's just skip through this. I'm yapping on here. All right. External power. So it's usually tethered, but I want a battery. I don't want this to be plugged into an extension cord. All right. Um, Mechanical interface. So this is the real problem. Mounting plate. That's not really a problem. I'm sure we could figure that out. Easy enough. Mounting plate. Mounting, it's easy enough. No standard, so we need a custom standard or custom adapter because there's no standard for batteries for humanoid robots. Well, there's like 1,000 different batteries as well, so it seems like every device invents its own battery. Or, whoever creates a device has to create a battery for it, I mean. Uh, let's see. Current draw. Okay, now it's just giving me some general stuff, general terms. It's not really telling me anything. Um, could I attach one of these hands? Okay, theoretically, yes. Well, that's not a good answer. Theoretically, yes, we could attach these different hands with some modifications, more than likely. So that doesn't sound good. Okay, so what was I gonna ask ChatGPT? I should have typed that in when I was thinking about it a few minutes ago. Something about batteries or hands. Yeah. Um, what kinds of batteries could be used for a humanoid robot that are available today? Available today. Nope. There. All right, let's jump over to Cloud Code while that's generating. Wow, that generated fast. It's almost like it knew what I was thinking before I typed it out. Maybe it was analyzing it as I typed it. I really suspect ChatGPT is analyzing my prompt before I even hit send. All right. Now, okay. So Cloud Code. Cloud Code. Let's see what Cloud Code. So pulling up to the office in the Lambo, then straight to the bench. Let me give you the lay of the land as of late April 2026. Short version, the hand market has exploded into roughly 70 commercially listed models. Batteries are still mostly custom packs in the 48 to 58 volt range, and no off the shelf hand is dropping for the Asimov version 1 because the kit explicitly ships without hands and without a battery. The good news is that Asimov's openness means almost any of them can be made to work with an adapter. Okay. So, there's the skinny. If you want to use it with the Asimov, you need an adapter. Here's a 3D model of the Asimov, by the way. All right. Here's a close-up of the actual hand, or I should say the wrist. Yeah, it's all wrist right here. No hands, all wrist. Okay, let's check out the wrist. There's a lot of holes. Assuming those are for wires or screws, maybe. So we got 4 holes on the, was that the circumference of this on the outside? And then we've got like 6 holes behind where you'd mount it. Oh, I'm getting all spun around here. What's going on here? Why am I getting all... Why is this thing not cooperating? God damn it. Alright, having some technical difficulties here. Zooming in, there we go. Alright. And then it's got all kinds of holes around the wrist. So this might be for wires, maybe for screws. It's kind of unclear. Wow, these look like little screw inserts right there. Then those might be for wires. So maybe the inside holes are for wires. And you can see these are on 2 different, if you drew a circle, it'd be 2 different sizes. You got the inner circle and the outer circle here. Looks like the outer circle is for mounting your robot hand. Then you can secure the inside as well. So you need some kind of adapter. Hmm. Well, basically, all you needed to do is you need to mount your robot hand to this and then run the wires through. Basically, that's all you really need to do. So I guess that would be pretty simple to whip up an adapter, basically like a circular plate. Uh, then you could just, figure out what the end of your hand looks like, I guess. Attach it to the wrist. Make a wrist adapter for this. Maybe somebody will make a wrist adapter that'll fit some different robot hands. But, alright, let's get back to Claude code. Alright, got off topic there. So, says the market roughly stratifies into 4 tiers. Alright, so, okay, same thing ChatGPT listed, the shadowed dexterous hand. Um, okay. And then those run on EtherCAT or CAN. Okay, so that's not good. Might have issues plugging that into a Raspberry Pi. Might be able to use EtherCAT, but yeah, it might be tricky getting it to communicate with your Raspberry Pi setup. Alright. Psionics Ability Hand. Apparently has 6 motors, 5 fingers, weighs 490 grams. Needs to be charged with the USB. Maybe you can wire it into the robot's power supply. Um, so once again, you're going to have to modify this if you're going to use the psionic. Wow, retail is roughly 25 to 50K. That's way out of our price range, but it's used by NASA naturally and all the other rich companies. So here we go. We've got a Chinese OEM mid-tier, and what is this? Some numbers instead of names, and these are also super expensive. Wow. All right. All metal frame, 24 sensors. Wow. 15 Newton fingertip force. ROS compatible. That's good news. That'll run on your Raspberry Pi. That's the robot operating system. That's a whole nother story we're not going to get into today. Alright, so apparently it runs about 6,000 euros. Alright, if you get it through the European distributors. Okay, next. Open source DIY tier is the most relevant. And even this says cost 2,000 in parts. Wow, why is everything for robots so freaking expensive? Jesus. Alright. Okay, now on to batteries. Well, it doesn't tell us where to get this robot. We're gonna have to ask more about how to actually get the hands. Apparently. Alright. So, batteries. Let's get to batteries. Okay, same recipe for every walking humanoid in 2026. A 48 volt to 58 volt lithium-ion pack. Uh, and then there's a bunch of stats for the batteries. Which, okay. So you need a 48 volt battery. Maybe smaller robot might use a 24 volt battery. Wow. Typically 1 to 4 hours runtime. And the lab numbers are usually 50% more optimistic versus the actual dynamic load duty cycles. So if it says you get 1 hour on the sticker, you might get 30 minutes in reality of battery life. So anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Or maybe it's 1 to 4 hours. Who knows? I guess it depends on the batteries and what you're using the robot for. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so apparently Boston Dynamics has the Atlas, which advertises self-swappable batteries with a 4-hour life. Um, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't list the price of the batteries though, which is kind of odd. I wonder if these are even available to the general public, or these are just what they came up with. Probably have to go to like a custom battery maker, someone that makes batteries, and just tell them your requirements. Hmm. Okay, here we go. So, does any of this work with Asimov? That's what I want to really want to know. Nothing today is officially compatible, and nothing will be drop-in. 3 reasons. All right, here's the reasons. So basically, the kit does not include the hands and batteries, and so they want to keep the open supply chain rather than vertically integrate everything. So they gave us quite a bit, with the step files, and we can you basically 3D print and machine all your motor mounts and 3D print the body and everything. But then you got to figure out what kind of battery you need to use, or what can you use. That's a that's a tricky question. Hmm. Then you need something to connect the battery to. So whatever you connect it to, like you want to be able to plug it into your Raspberry Pi. So you're gonna need something in between those two things. Um, might need a few things in between those. Which is probably gonna be a custom PCB, some kind of printed custom circuit board. Hmm. Wow. Okay. And then so we're gonna need a wrist flange as well. Uh, and then saying the wrist mechanics are constrained. Hmm. Oh, and it points out too, whatever you bolt onto the hand either doesn't have any degrees of freedom in the wrist, or it has to have its own wrist mechanism. So you don't just need the hand, you need the wrist. Hmm. Or you just have a really stiff wristed robot. So if you like that sort of thing, a stiff wrist from a hard robot. All right. Hmm. All right. Let's see here. Oof. All right. So the short answer, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's really any options for compatible hands or batteries. So basically, if you build this Asimov robot, let's see if I can scroll out and rotate it. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble rotating it correctly. Here we go. There. So if you build this, you're basically on your own for the hands and the battery, which I assume would go back here where it says 12 volts and 48 volts. So I'm assuming the battery would have to fit inside this back compartment as well. If we could hide this, hide. There we go. Yeah, so your battery's basically got to fit inside of there. Oh, look at that. There's like little, I think that's where the camera goes in the chest. Maybe you could put like a little Iron Man thing right there, some kind of Iron Man dealio. All right. So that looks like the battery compartment. Of course, you can modify this as well, since the chest is 3D printed. So you could actually change all that. And, alright, back to the research now. But, how do you get the battery then? Okay, so it's basically telling us what kind of battery we would need. That's all well and good, but I just want to buy a battery. I can't build a battery myself. Uh, okay, so it's giving me a few different options. Okay. Um, then yeah, there was like a video, I believe, of the robots swapping the batteries themselves, which was kind of interesting. But once again, I'm not sure if those robots are going to be available to the general public or just the companies that want to replace all their human workers. Uh, hmm. So I'd really like to just get one of these robots and send it to work for me or bring it to work with me and, collect an extra paycheck for the humanoid robot's work. That would make more sense. Instead of these companies spending billions to replace people, why don't they, you know, just spend billions giving people more money? That would make more sense. But whatever. Alright, back to the battery issue. Alright. So this basically this doesn't really tell me uh, how to obtain a battery for the humanoid robot. I guess that's really the main question now. Because, I mean, a hand, we could probably obtain the hand. We could probably build one, open source it, 3D print most of it, and figure out the motors, maybe the tendons, maybe a tendon system. I guess I should send this prompt away. I'm going to use the same prompt for both Claude Code and ChatGPT. Oh, yeah. Let's see which model am I using. Doesn't even tell me the number anymore. Instant. Maybe I should use thinking, but I don't know. I tried thinking. I didn't like it that much. Okay, here we go. So I've got 5.3. And I'm just using not using the maximum version of this. I'm just using like the mid version of it. Alright. So I've got 5.3 on ChatGPT and then Opus 4.7 on Claude Code. I'm going to send it the same prompt in ChatGPT. I swear, every time I send it a prompt, it's like instantly, boom. It's like it's already got an answer for me. Like it already knew what I was going to send in the prompt. And Claude Code's making a show of thinking about things. Oh well. I do like how Claude Code like displays everything though. So like look at this. It literally went to all these sites and this YouTube video and now it's like checking all kinds of stuff out. Wow. And ChatGPT just spit out a generic answer. Probably it's gonna look like something some kind of random website with a list of 10 batteries you can buy. Let's see. So you wouldn't buy a humanoid battery the way you buy a laptop charger. In practice, you either source the OEM pack or build spec a pack that matches the robot's electrical and mechanical interface. Here's the clean path from least friction to full custom. Okay. OEM battery. Okay. So we contact Asimov directly. So it seems like I don't think we can build or 3D print a battery just yet, as far as I know. I mean, then you gotta put like acid in there and some kind of reactive metal, and I mean, I'm sure the metal would be super expensive too, even if you were gonna 3D print the rest of it. I mean, maybe you could 3D print the case for it, but whatever you're putting inside the battery is gonna be expensive and dangerous to handle. So, you're basically stuck trying to buy a battery, but I mean, Asimov doesn't supply the batteries, so contact them. They might be able to give you some more direction. Like, they might know a battery guy. Like, you know, I'm sure they have some battery company they're working with. Maybe they can direct us, point us in the right direction for robot batteries. All right. If OEM isn't available, okay, so matching the robot's requirements. Okay, that seems logical. Okay, it's just telling us to source an off-the-shelf pack, and then adapt it, and then build a custom pack. I don't think that's an option. I mean, maybe. Oh, I was suggesting maybe we get some spare cell phone batteries and link those together or take them apart to get the metal that we need to put this together. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. It seems kind of toxic. But, alright. Practical do this. So start by contacting Asimov. Maybe they could point us in the direction of where to get the batteries. And so basically, there is no universal humanoid battery you can just order. So basically, you gotta buy an OEM battery, or you gotta match the specs and adapt it, or you gotta build it yourself. Wow. Wonder, is there an open source battery? Is there an open source battery that would work for this robot? Open source battery that would work for this robot. Humanoid robot. Oh shit. Alright. Oh, how to obtain a battery for the humanoid. Let's see what Claude Code said while ChatGPT is generating its instant answer of nonsense. Alright. Battery sourcing is a parallel project to the build itself. Asimov hands you the chassis and the actuators, and you bring the energy. Here's the sensible path. Alright, so it's saying start with the spec, not the supplier. Okay, seems logical. Then it's giving us the specs for the batteries. I don't know. Battery specification seems very mysterious, and I think they're missing a few things, honestly, but, you know, it seems to work generally works pretty good most of the time. Um, so, let's see. Okay, so the Unitree G1 ships with its own battery. It's good for about 2 hours, according to their website. Uh, each one uses a 15 amp per hour pack at up to 67.2 volts. Wow. Manly battery. Oh, here's a website. Manly battery. Let's check this out. Never been here, so I don't know what we're going to see here. Okay. How to choose the best humanoid robot lithium battery. Oh, here's an article. I'll probably include this in the description. Uh, looks like they're discussing how to find a battery for your humanoid robot, which is the... Okay, so that's good. So Claude Code actually directed me in the direction, like how I can find, more information. And ChatGPT just gave me a list of things that I can do. ChatGPT basically generated a to-do list, but Claude Code gave me a link to find some more info and hopefully get me closer to my goal. Alright, let's see here. So pick a sourcing tier. Alright. So the cleanest is an engineering grade robotics pack from a specialist. Wow. There we go. So Cloud Code's telling us how to actually go about sourcing a battery. So that's good. See, ChatGPT did not tell us any of this. And then I'm actually asking if there's an open source battery, but let's continue with Claude here. Alright, so we got Claude. So about 800 to 2,000 per pack. Wow, expensive for batteries. Maybe more if they have to design it from scratch. I mean, I'm sure they, I don't know how they charge for building batteries, but then of course it looks like it's a Germany company in Germany, even though they do have U.S. distribution. All right, so moving on. So if you want to go with the Chinese option, which is probably what you're going to be stuck with, because I mean, it seems like the China's building all the humanoid robots and battery packs. You know, I'm sure that some of the humanoid robots are being built in other places, but all right. Yeah, I suppose they are being built all over the place. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's beyond the scope of this video. All right, let's stick to batteries and how to get a battery. We need a battery. It's like the 90s when you need a battery for your Game Boy because you couldn't freaking play Pokemon anymore because the batteries ran out. All right, 400 to 1200 if you go with a Chinese battery. Maybe 2 months. Might have to wait for 2 months and spend that much to get a battery. Oh, okay. Now, third tier, it's saying we can get an e-bike or e-scooter battery. That would actually might make more sense. Might be a little bit cheaper as well. Of course, these might not be able to sustain the power demands that our humanoid needs. So, 1 to 3 current draw plus a 20 plus current pulse. Oh, okay. So cheapest up. Now Cloud Code is recommending cell phone batteries. Okay, that's the cheapest option. But it's saying it's a poorly or it's a serious fire hazard if you're trying to splice cell phone batteries together. So that makes sense. Yeah, that's the problem with building batteries also is that batteries are likely to catch on fire if they're not put together correctly. So it's another thing. All right. So I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, you're pretty much stuck buying a battery. And then we'll see what ChatGPT said. It's probably just more of the same. Here's some open source batteries. Are these actual open source batteries, or are they just... This looks like it might be. Did it give me a link? No links. Is that a link? Nope. Uh, are these links? No, these are images. Yeah, it's weird. It didn't give me any links, so I can't find out any more info on these. If these are even actual batteries or just pictures of projects people posted. I'm sure there's, people have been building batteries and it's like they've been splicing cell phone batteries together, doing who knows what. But, yep, so there's your options for a battery for the robot. You're basically, you gotta buy it or very carefully build it. And then for a robot hand, you're going to have to create some kind of wrist flange, like a wrist adapter to connect the hand to the robot wrist. Let's check out the wrist again. So you have to create some kind of adapter to, bolt it onto this. And this looks like it's 3D printed as well, so I don't know. That might be kind of tricky. The front looks like it's aluminum right here. Aluminum bolted onto the 3D print. But, yep, so still some work to do on this, but it's getting there though. That's quite a bit though so far, so probably going to wrap it up right there. Oh, wow, I've been talking for 35 minutes already. Wow. All right. Well, that's it. That's all, folks.